Hi, my name is Schill, and I'd like to tell you about my friend Sylvia. Sylvia was 5'3", maybe 120 pounds. She had long gray hair and a tan weathered face that smiled occasionally when we talked. I guessed her age to be about 60, but later found out that she was 15 years younger than that. Her clothes were rumpled and worn, and everything she owned was kept in a two-wheel wire rolly cart with lots of plastic bags attached to the side. Yes, Sylvia was a bag lady. I met Sylvia one morning in downtown Columbus, Ohio, when I was hurrying to work. It was an ordinary day filled with all of those things that a mother of 3 children does to get her family out the door and to school on time, lunches and backpacks in tow. I remembered feeling good that I had packed myself a lunch because other things usually came first. My commute to downtown was about 35 minutes, and the walk from the parking lot to the Burnsville office center on Capitol Square was 2 blocks. One of those blocks was a cut-through of the Lazarus department store, which the building was actually built over the road, and it provided a covered area for one of the store's main entryways, and then there were other doorways along the way where merchandise was received. I remember my arms were full of stuff when I left the parking lot, and I was headed to work, and I had just passed the Lazarus entryway when I saw this old woman in tattered clothing standing in one of those doorways with her rolly cart and plastic bags behind her. She looked up at me and smiled and said, "Excuse me, do you have a minute?" Wow, do I have a minute? I quickly looked left and right and saw that there were no other street people around, just people like me headed to the same office building as I was by 8 o'clock in the morning. Wow, do I have a minute? I instantly processed her question. She didn't ask me for money like so many others before her. She didn't ask me for food. She didn't even ask me for help. She simply asked the question, do I have a minute? I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel pressured. And I didn't feel alone. And I simply stopped because it was Jesus who asked me for 1 minute. The next thing that I knew, my arms were full of plastic bags, while this woman was reaching down into her cart for a used plastic tablecloth, which she used as a ground cover. Next, she pulled out an old blanket to cushion her bones, she said. And then, one by one, she retrieved each plastic bag and placed it neatly back in the cart. When she was finished, she turned to me and said, "I have to keep things clean as I can." Well, over the next several months, I'd see Sylvia in that doorway about once a week. Each time I saw her, I stopped and we chatted, and little by little I learned her story. Sylvia was once a bookkeeper, but because of medical reasons, she lost her job. When the money ran out, she could no longer pay for her medications. All of her medications. She lived with family for a while, but when mood swings and the occasional voices of her head made life unbearable, she left. She once went to the shelter, but her belongings were stolen there, and when she went back to get them, there was a fight. She lost that fight and never went back. Instead, she made her home underneath a bridge just south of downtown. Some say Sylvia was a crazy lady, or that she was evil. She was never that way with me, even on her bad days. For me, knowing Sylvia forever changed the way that I look at people who are homeless. Each one is first a person, and then someone without a home. Each one has a story to tell. For Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have them do to you."